Vila says this was very interesting and informative presentation. Collaboration done by various sectors does show positive results. Bongi and Sifunda, your program is doing exceptionally well in investing in the youth. What opportunities are there for individuals above the age of 35? I think that's the postgraduate part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that brings me to another question, which is, is this funding that you provide for postgraduates, is this apart from NRF, or is it in partnership with NRF?
Can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
So some of it is with the NRF and some of it is funded by the CSIR.
Because the NRF now has a strict age restriction on PhDs. I think they have to register PhDs before they're 30.
Yes, and also restricted in terms of the numbers that they can award. In the past, it used to be, a large number, I think almost 20 that we'll get. And now we'll be happy to get 7 or 8 postdocs through the NRF PDP program.
Right. That is a huge setback, in fact. Yes, but CSIR doesn't have an age restriction, am I right?
No, we don't apply it when we do make a call.
Okay. Thank you so much for the question. I think there's a bit of a sound issue on the microphone. Participants or the people who are in the room are using. So I got glimpses of it, but I think it was talking to oversubscription of the demand and supply story. And I think that one it really speaks to the plight of youth unemployment or unemployment in the country, right? Which is bigger, it's a much bigger conversation. But I think from an institutional point of view, what we are actively trying to do now is to create linkages, strategic partnerships with, I think I mentioned industry organizations, private companies, as well as other places that are saying we have money, but we don't have an implementation model that we can use to do what it is that we do. So we've had a number of organizations that approach us. We have currently a partnership with the CSIR through the waste economy sector, where we are the ones that do the recruitment, but they are the ones that pay the stipends of those interns within that waste economy sector. Similar arrangement with this GIZ, where they are specifically interested in interns in the hydrogen economy and sector, and so they will fund X number of interns. Now, this is outside the DSI HSRC funding pool. So I think creating more of those strategic partnerships to build the reality is that the pot that we are getting from DSI is getting smaller and smaller. And with the current austerity measures and the economic climate, it's difficult to expect much. But I think the directive from their side as well has been for us to get ourselves out there in creating these partnerships that are going to ensure a longer and sustained absorption of our interns. I think that's the part that I heard in the question. And then Pinda, I am so excited about everything that you've shared. I think that platforms like this are actually opportunities for one to get to know other people who are doing similar work and possible areas of collaboration. And I think that for me, this is a launching pad for that, where we should be taking some of these conversations forward. And that's the strength of the NSTF platform, in that it enables that connection. So I'm grateful for that. So in your presentation, I heard quite a bit of things that we are doing in the HSRC, two similarities in terms of what it is that you guys are doing in us. In as far as that graduate in training internship program, we also have a master's and PhD and postdoc program within the HSRC. And that one speaks to that age question that was also raised, that we don't have a criteria for people who applied to be masters or PhD or postdoc trainees, because we employ them as staff members. So we pay them a salary as we would to any person who's employed in the organization. The difference between the CSIR model is that we don't dictate to them their area of focus in as far as their research, but we pair them with a mentor internally who is who specializes in whatever it is that the topic of the PhD or the master's is going to be, and we expose them to the project management or the field work side of things as well. So it becomes a full package, because this person is able to meet their personal obligations through a salary, but they're also getting space to be able to learn, experiential learning, but they're also getting exposed to research and the field of research as a whole. Thank you so much. I hope I've covered everything.
Has there been any engagement with the CETAs for expanding the internship program?
Yes, so that's the exciting part. I get really excited when we talk these kind of conversations, because they really speak to my passion. So we have started engaging with CETAs in trying to, because there's a pool of money that they are unable to spend on, right? More so because they focus on different things. So the internship part of it is the one that we would like to get in there and have some form of partnership with them. So our principals are engaging at their level, and I've started engaging with colleagues at my level in as far as taking forward some of the conversations. What we've also done is we're in the process of entering an agreement with the National Skills Fund, which is another pool of funds that are available that seek to address the issue around graduate unemployment. So we will be seeing another uptake of interns through that funding pool that we are waiting from the NSF. So there are these conversations that are happening, but I think underpinning them is the need to align and the need to form areas of synergy and collaborations. And it starts with platforms like this, where one is able to hear what it is that another organization is doing and how we can assist each other in driving towards the same goal.
Right. Thank you. Pinda, sorry for keeping you waiting.
No, thank you. I thought I must come and raise my hand before Dr. Cingo comes back with another question. Just to to appreciate Bongi when she said that, you know, we need to collaborate, and I would really like to do that. At some stage, we try to put, you know, science councils together, especially within the skills development domain, just to learn from each other and understand how other science councils, you know, implement these programs, and also share. I mean, we also have challenges, especially with the program, the studentship one, where we appoint students to do their masters and internships. The throughput is very low in some of the areas that we fund. Just to learn with how do you then encourage and motivate or incentivize your students to complete on time, and just share ideas around that. So I really welcome that, and I will be calling you, Bongi, to pursue a discussion on how we can collaborate. Thank you.
Fantastic. I think this is a very useful conversation to have facilitated. Thank you very much. You, Ms. Sifunda and Ms. Moni, we really appreciate what you're doing and for taking the time to come and present to us. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Right, we've come to the end of our program, our two-day program. Can you believe it? There isn't as much time as I thought there would be at the end, but I would like to highlight some cross-cutting themes. We have heard from a number of science councils in the course of these 2 days, I will just quickly list them so you can be reminded. We started off with the Agricultural Research Council, and then we had the Water Research Commission, WRC, then the CSIR, then SANBI, the South African National Biodiversity Institute, and South African Environmental Observation Network, SION. In the afternoon, we had the Council for Geoscience, CSIR Manufacturing. Then we had Ms. Marianne Manuel from Mintec. Oh, I'm reading the names now. Apologies. Anyway, I'll just continue. And Professor Linda Godfrey from the CSIR talking about the circular economy. Today, we had Ms. Pabalu Masite of the NIPMO and Ms. Malesi Ndlovu from TIA. And we had them in person. And then we had Dr. Zainab Isak from the HSRC. And then to discuss the skills pipeline, Ms. Bongiwe Moni from the HSRC and Ms. Binda Sifunda from the CSIR. What has been cross-cutting is that all science councils do research for knowledge generation, firstly, and evidence-based products. There is a search for the truth. There is sound research principles. Secondly, all science councils are devoted to doing research for the social good. So whatever they're doing, there is an awareness of the National Development Plan, sustainable development, and the great need that South Africa has to improve people's lives. Thirdly, all science councils are doing research for innovation. There are some that specialize in the innovation process, like TIA and NIPMO, but all science councils have offices of technology transfer. And all of them are aware that the research is not done to be put on a shelf. It is done to be implemented. So it is the innovation value chain that comes into play there, and there's great awareness about that. Fourthly, all science councils play a role in knowledge dissemination. In other words, making known what they are doing. Now, scientists have a very strange reputation of not communicating. So do engineers, by the way, scientists and engineers. There's a stereotype that they do not talk to people, that they're not people. And we know the reverse to be true. We know that our scientists talk, our scientists write, our scientists communicate, and ditto with our engineers. I'm thinking particularly of the CSIR, where there are many engineers. And you might say, okay, their presentation skills are not that good. Doesn't matter. The point is that they do communicate and they work in collaboration with other people. Maybe I should add that as another point. They all collaborate. All science councils see as part of their job that they inform government policy, that the knowledge that they gather is intended also to inform policy through evidence. Then all the science councils want to raise awareness. There is some outreach to the public and the youth. Wherever they are, there is always outreach. Now, this, as far as I know, is not a legislative imperative. It is because they feel the need to do that, to grow the next generation and to make the public aware. And then the skills pipeline itself, where there is training of postgraduates and young professionals in all the science councils. That is hampered by a lack of funding, but all of them are aware of the critical importance of growing the skills pipeline. And so they busy themselves with that. So that is what came up for me in the course of these 2 days, that the science councils are really doing what they have to do. Their hearts are in the right place, and they are being efficient and effective. Okay, one can nitpick. I'm sure there are things that can be improved. Nobody's perfect, but this is the impression I get from what has been reported. Then there are 3 themes. Loosely speaking, there's the WEF nexus, the water, energy, food nexus, that is plays an important role in determining the research agenda. So research on water is, we know, is absolutely critical. Research on energy is very critical, and research in food and agriculture is critical. And then where they come together, of course, the water, energy, food nexus is important as well. These are issues of life and death, but there are also issues of growing the economy. The ARC gave us examples of new cultivars that they have created. They are very innovative, and their innovation is having impact. I remember that that graph that was shown on the presentation of all the tinned foods that are produced in South Africa, that mostly they are done with ARC developed cultivars. So the best cultivars are being developed by the ARC and have an influence when you go to your dinner table, because tinned food is convenient and it's a South African product that is part of the economy. Then the circular economy is a theme that came out very often. So even if people weren't focusing on the circular economy, it was, there's great awareness about the circular economy and the need to grow that sector. And then finally, of course, growing the economy itself. And that includes intellectual property. It includes the innovation process, but it also includes developing efficiencies within the economy in various sectors, developing safety in various sectors. And so we've had an incredibly rich input of content in this 2 days, day and a half, with many interesting themes that come out of it. There are multiple connections with the Sustainable Development Goals, although we haven't highlighted those as such. It's just quite self-evident. And there are multiple connections with the National Development Plan as well. Right, any final remarks from any of our speakers? Would you like a final word? From anyone in our audience? Yes, Ndumiso.
Just a key point in the short one, so that people can ask a question. Anyhow, actually, it's perhaps building on the last remarks that were made by Kinder and Bondi, when they said it was very refreshing to hear what each of the institutions are having on the space of skills and development, and they indicated that they will be talking to one another. Just what we need to perhaps it's almost suggested to you. Well, more now your role as the president of cohort. That it will seem perhaps around skills development, there might be a need for a more focused discussion amongst the science council that belong to cohort. And what I was suggesting was a way forward that perhaps, I'm not sure what capacity they is in cohort could take a lead in organizing a, discussion and engagement around skills development and contribution that science council is sharing best practice that challenges sort of support within this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ndemiso. I absolutely agree with you. That should be taken forward. Yes.
Thank you. Really smelling congregation with all the staff there. And I'm sorry to talk about from goodness and weakness. Very, very productive partnership. So one of the most productive is with the Washington State Council. Basically, that's to say that we've got the best, some of the best we've handed in the whole world in our campus that we don't have the knowledge about water resource management. And so we developed a program called Water Resilience Initiative, 3-year program of involving communities in all aspects of water resource management, particularly water resource opportunity. We have responded at different times and Kunmani is a huge organization. 150,000 survivors of very serious atrocity. And some focus has been on supporting people to become active in implementations, basically based on the national development plan, what is needed there. And we have been registered from 80,000 to host interns. We haven't yet run any of those internships. We did internships for young people with the municipality, especially because we developed a lot of community technology and information centers. And and that was right exciting as well. There was I'm really grateful to have caught the tail end of the meeting, and I'll go back and look at all the lists that are in this document. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I'm very glad that you made it, that you just caught us. Indeed. Yes, please contact Ms. Moni at the HSRC, Ms. Bongi Moni. Her email address is in the chat, but you can also, talk to us and let us put you in touch with her so that you can talk about your application for interns. That sounds wonderful. Very interesting. Right. Any other contributions? Anybody from the floor? The online floor? What do you want us to take forward to the heads of the research institutions? As Ndemiso said, I'm the chair of cohort, the heads of the research institutions. And it forms a group that is a think tank and an advocacy and a negotiating group with particularly the Department of Science and Innovation, but also with other line departments. It doesn't pretend to speak on behalf of the government or these departments, but it is a forum for connection and negotiation. So from this day and a half, we have heard some expression of needs, of things that need to be looked at. And one of those is the funding for the skills pipeline and the internships that came out today very clearly. But there were some indications also in terms of the needs for funding for innovation. There was an indicated need for legislation to change in one of the circular economy presentations, where it was about e-waste and that we require legislation to make it possible to recycle e-waste, because there is nothing to set up the mechanisms to gather e-waste and to for that waste to have a value attached to it. So that is one of the things that we can take forward. If you have any comment on that as well, that would be welcome. Okay, there is a hand up. I can't see who you are, but please speak if you're able to. Well, now, can you see who that is?
Sorry, Nancy.
Whose hand is up? Mankwe?
No, I couldn't see any.
Oh, it is.
It's Bongani Ndimba.
Yes, please go ahead, Bongi. Bongani.
I'm saying the hand is from Bongani Ndimba.
Yes, please speak.
Can you hear me now? I couldn't see the icon to unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Yes, thank you very much for this wonderful summary, Chair, for this session. I feel extremely that I missed out big time. I couldn't be there, and I couldn't also continue in the discussions yesterday. But I, summarized it so well that I think at least I feel not totally lost. I'm not sure what I'm going to raise now might have been raised, but if it is, and I apologize, maybe I can take the benefit of the response. You're talking about funding, or we're talking about funding that can support innovation and incentivize the institutions that are doing the training. Science councils are at a huge disadvantage compared to universities when it comes to training of postgraduate students. We do not fall within the higher education system where the credits for graduating masters and PhD students, at times entirely by a professor or specialist scientist from the CSIR, ARC, MRC, wherever. We spend so many hours in doing that. But the current funding system, funding formula doesn't incentivize science councils. And I think it is something that has to be discussed. It has been discussed before by the CEOs of science councils. I remember a number of years ago, it was hosted by the National Research Foundation, NRF. And it was the time when the Department of Higher Education, not within the Department of Science and Technology. I was very hopeful 5 years ago when the two ministries were merged that this discussion will be taken forward, because I think we have a very interesting source of additional capacity building there. But I think the science councils don't really get what they deserve. And I think it's a bit of a loss and something that I think if it was to be discussed, it's not saying that the universities should not get at anything at all, but I think it should recognize, the efforts, the talent, the facilities that are provided for in our collaborations. Was this touched? If it was not, what is maybe the audience thinking about this? Because I just can give an example, because every time we get a chance to talk to vice chancellors of universities, particularly historically disadvantaged universities, who may not necessarily have the wonderful labs and facilities that other universities have, they do grow their postgraduate output, and they can take advantage of the likes of the ARC. But I'm just throwing it out there and saying, how can we get this to work for both the universities and science councils
Right.
fairly and equitably? Thank you.
Yes, that is a very good question. Ndamiso?
Yes, it's Bongi.
Yes.
Just to add to what Bongani had said, I think at the HSRC we did an exercise. It was a long time ago, 2016. It goes to show how long we've been in this institution. 2016, I had an exercise that I had to do where I was requested to quantify the amount of money that gets given to universities as a result of the research outputs, even in collaborations. I mean, sometimes we collaborate with universities, or most times we collaborate with universities. The recognition of those research outputs in financial terms go to the university rather than them being for the science councils as well. And I think this was presented in some platform because it was a serious conversation at the time. And I think that's the one that Bongani is talking to. But perhaps resuscitating that conversation in the context of perhaps new data would help drive the point, also in the context of the merged departments. Yeah. So I just wanted to raise that we did some work on it, and I can share what we had done at the time to just solidify the point that he's trying to make. Thanks.
Excellent. Was that 2009, you said?
2016. I think the latest was 2016, and it gives historic information over time. These are this is the rand value per publication, the university academic year, and it sort of gives an overview of amount of monies that universities receive as a result of the publications. And I think we were doing this in trying to think about other ways of generating income in the context of this fiscal that we are working with, which is quite constrained, to see what else can be done. And it was quite interesting to see that even when we do partner with universities, and we do this in different ways, sometimes we are co-supervisors, and we have associations with the universities, but the recognition in as far as the financial part often goes to the universities rather than shared with the councils. It was for the HSRC, but it does give an overview of other councils as well. So I'm just going to look at it and what, because I mean, it's 2016, so I haven't looked at it. I just remembered it and I went to it now because you guys were talking about it.
Right. Yes. And if you find that it's online, you can send us a link and we'll place it on the event page for this discussion forum. To conclude, the outcomes of this discussion forum are on the event page. You can find it at nstf.org.za, and it's there's a link in the chat that you can copy. We will be putting the outcomes as they become available. There will be recordings of each speaker. At the moment, you have the PowerPoint presentations, so you can already go back and have a look at the presentations that were done in these this past day and a half. But there will also be the recordings, which will be separated into presentations. We'll also produce a media release, which will be a short article summarizing the issues that have come up in the course of this program. So that was a very productive discussion. We're hoping to take it forward in some way. There is a Science Councils Committee in NSTF consisting of representatives of the Science Councils and they will be reviewing these discussions and making a list of recommendations. And as I said, I will be taking a few things to cohort together with Dr. Daniel. With that, thank you very much for your participation, for your active listening, for your presentations and your discussion. We hope you have a good day and a good rest of the week.